Adolis Garcia, what is there to evaluate? What is there to see when it comes to his confidence and his effort going into the second half of the season? Obviously, Adolis, your hometown participant in the home run derby, and I know that going into the home run derby, I was looking at it as with the way that he came into the All-Star break. Is that something that it can shift? Because I know home run derby, the fly ball rate, and those types of things can shift for players in the second half. And usually that works in a negative way. And I'm like, man, he needs to go in a positive way because coming into this, he wasn't looking like the best of Adolis Garcia.
No, and so to start the year, he seemed to have that same attitude and energy that he had playoff Adolis Garcia. And in the offseason, he avoided arbitration, and they signed a 2-year, $15 million contract. So it would guarantee that he was here this year and next year, at least under contract. They can trade him. He doesn't have like a trade clause in this. But so I remember this during one of the Bruce Bochy interviews, and it was right around, I'm going to guess, early to mid-May. It was the Atlanta Braves series. I remember, I think it was this series, and Bruce Bochy comes on our airways, and he says, yeah, I told Adolis, man, I haven't seen your teeth in a while because he hasn't been smiling.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, man, I just want you to smile and enjoy the game again type of deal. Like, you're too hard on yourself. You get too down on yourself kind of. He was discussing all of these things. So it was like, oh, okay. And I think he had a big home run. He was wearing some special shoes during that because it was Sunday Night Baseball. And so anyways, I want to then fast forward to the All-Star break. Is that Houston series.
Yes.
So in the Houston series, I hadn't pointed this out because we've been talking a lot about Monday night, Tuesday night.
Yep.
Here we are Wednesday. Well, we're about to get back into Friday, and you're playing arguably the best team in the American League, the Baltimore Orioles. So in that series, John Singleton hits a one-hop rocket off of the right field wall. And I'm thinking, if John Singleton, who does not run well, he's a first baseman, if he goes for two, Adolis loves these situations. He's going to throw a one-hop rocket or right in the air because it's a short right field in Houston, and he's going to gun him out by a good 10 feet. And Adolis gets the ball off the wall. John Singleton runs, and Adolis lobs the ball into second base. And John Singleton makes it into second with a slide, but he makes it in easily, safe. And then in the series, Adolis hits a rocket up the middle, and Altuve makes a great backhanded diving play. And then Altuve, I can't remember if he stayed on his knees or if he got up and lobbed the ball, but either way, he lobs the ball. And as he releases the ball and lobs it, I'm like, dude, Adolis might beat this out. And then Adolis is out by 30 feet. Adolis, after he hit the ball and saw that it was caught by Altuve, decided, I'm not going to run to first base. And so these are things. I love Adolis. I'm going to love Adolis the rest of my life for what he did for the Texas Rangers. And he's had a great Rangers career, and hopefully there's more Rangers career to it that we're going to love. But these things, the lack of joy that we've noticed as a fan, the lack of joy that manager Bruce Bochy has noticed, the at times lack of energy that he's providing. He's always been a big spark of energy and a spark of, the raw emotion of the game. He's the guy that you do have to worry about the wave that he can ride his energy levels, where Semien and Seager have almost no emotion playing the game of baseball. Where you have this guy who we connect with more because he is more emotional. But this year he hasn't been that emotional about the game. He's just been kind of down.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have that emotional center, like when the highs are high, that's when you see him tugging at his jersey and yelling and throwing his bat and those types of things in, the ALCS. And those are the things that energize the club and the fans, but the clubhouse itself. But then the dips really are noticeable, and that's been there. But in addition to that, right? I one of the things I talked to you about, because I mean you're a former professional baseball player, you have some more insight on this. Is I wonder what could be getting to that, what could be making that energy not be there. And you talked about how the manager Bochy went and talked to him. I'm not seeing your teeth, and it makes me wonder how much is he focusing on trying to get it back? Because I know for me, and I know I can't necessarily put my experience on him. But for me, sometimes if I feel like I'm not doing well, then I get in my head about, okay, what I'm not doing well and thinking about those things. And that can somewhat pull me further away from the good performances that I want to give. And I do wonder, like, do you feel like maybe that's some of it where he's getting up and he's like, all right, I know that I have to worry about the high heat, and I know that I have to, and if you feel like you're not succeeding in that way, that kind of negative outcomes can lead to more negative outcomes because you're dwelling on it so much.
Yeah, and I get this, is that he's down because he's performing below his standard. So I'm just going to give you what his standard has been for his career. 238 batting average. That's not impressive. But he's batting 211 this year right now at the break. So that is 27 points lower than his career average. And I'm adding in, obviously, the little bit of St. Louis and the really struggling second half of his first full season with the Texas Rangers. His career average for on-base percentage, 298. This year, 277. His career slug, 457. This year, 405. His career OPS, 756. This year, 682. That is down quite a bit from his career average. I get that league averages are down quite a bit in baseball, but I'm giving you Adolis's career average because I'm adding in those 21 games. There's only 17 plate appearances, but this is added into his career averages. 118 batting average with St. Louis. 176 slug with St. Louis. That's definitely bringing it down. If I go to 2020, he only had 7 at-bats or 7 plate appearances. He had a 0 batting average with the Texas Rangers there. And then in 2021, he made the All-Star team, but he had a 243 batting average. On base was low at 286. The year after that, doesn't make the All-Star team, 250 batting average, 756 OPS. Last year, 245 batting average, 836 OPS. 29 home runs. The last 2 years, 101 RBIs. Last year, 107 RBIs. This year, 45, and we're obviously past the halfway point, so you can't multiply that times 2 and say, well, he's on pace for 90 RBIs. His last 2 years, he's been a 100-plus RBI guy, and this year he's looking more towards like an 80 RBI season. Now, that can all change in the second half, because if we do get to 90, he would definitely outperform what he did in the first half. I'm hoping he gets back to his career averages in the second half, but he's going to have to be able to. This is such a game of failure that he's failing even more than what you usually fail in the game. He's going to have to play the second half if the Rangers have a chance, and if he has a chance to bounce back from what he did in the first half. He's going to have to play this game with more positive energy. Yeah. Because he seems to be lingering in the negative and not enjoying himself.
It does feel mental, because I know someone on the text line mentioned that, hey, man, maybe he's injured. He collided with Marcus Semien, or maybe it's better to say Marcus Semien collided with him in shallow right field May 18th. Okay. And for a segment of time after that, we saw a downturn in Marcus Semien's batting average. Marcus Semien went from like 270 to 179, and we went from slugging 465 to slugging 258 for a period of time after that. Like, we saw that downturn. But I don't know. Would you agree with that? Because I feel like it's mental, and I feel like you can see the signs for him that it's more mental. And like, sometimes he'll, swing it, make contact, and then his head will drop, or things like that, where it feels like that's more mental than it is the physical aspects of it.
From that point, I have not done tons of TV broadcasts. Like, coming out of the break, I have the whole homestand as the analyst with Dave Raymond, and I get to go into the dugout. I get to go into the clubhouse about 2:40-ish. I can't remember what time the clubhouse opens off the top of my head, but right around 2:30, 2:45, you can get into the clubhouse and you can kind of see the guys and maybe have conversations with the guys. I try not to bug them in the clubhouse. I try to maybe like see them in the dugout and just say something quick and not bug them. I get it, man. They're getting ready for the game. They got enough media responsibilities. I get it. But I do get to be in the dugout at 3 o'clock when Bruce Bochy does his interviews. Mm-hmm. I remember, and this is late May, this is early June, they're asking those questions. And he would say, yeah, Semien's a little dinged up from that. Yeah. But he's playing through it. We're not going to put him on the injured list. Hey, he's been saying for a while now, Bruce Bochy, there's nothing physically wrong with Adolis Garcia. I can only take his word. Maybe he's fibbing, but I don't know why you would do that. As a guy struggling, you would say, yeah, man, he's dealing with a sore knee, or yeah, man, his hip's been bugging him, or whatever. Like usually, Bruce Bochy or a hitting coach or Chris Young or whoever might tell you, yeah, man, he's physically right now, he's not right.
And especially Bochy. Bochy's been pretty forthcoming with us.
At times, yeah, Corey Seager, they're like, yeah, man, he's dealing with something. That's why we're giving him the day off. We're trying not to put him on the injured list, but he's dealing with something. He's fighting through it. I have not heard, in fact, they've been the opposite on Adolis. Now, I could be wrong about this, but they have not been talking about a physical injury throughout the struggle. They've been talking about the mental part of it and the joy of it. And then you see in Houston that you're like, this isn't Adolis, man. Adolis loves throwing out guys. He loves gunning guys, yes, especially at home, but he loves gunning guys at second base. So John Singleton went against his reputation and said, I'm going to try for 2, even though, and then Now here's the deal.
Maybe that's something that the Astros notice, and that they're like, "Hey, we're going to take advantage of him in right field."
He's not gunning for guys anymore. He's not taking the pride in being one of the best arms in right field.
Absolutely.
So now, if I was the Baltimore Orioles scout and I was at that game, I have to write down, "Hey, we can run on Adolis right now." I could be wrong. I'd put in my notes, I could be wrong, but he didn't seem to want to throw guys out. So you might be able to be a little bit more aggressive, because he doesn't seem to be as aggressive in throwing the ball in. And then at the plate, you'd have to write down right now, he can be beat with multiple pitches, because he doesn't seem confident.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be going to, when he went to the plate with the game on the line, I just felt so good about it. It didn't mean he was like a 700 hitter. He's probably like a 250 hitter in those situations. But as a teammate, which I'm not of his, but as a fan of his, I feel like, dude, he wants the bat.
Yeah.
And right now, he just seems to lack confidence and lack joy. That needs to change. So I love Adolis. I want to tell him, man, I'll love you forever. And you know what? This fan base is going to love you forever.
Absolutely. The way that building went up for him when he's in that home run derby, they love that man.
But I can't change his confidence.
Yeah.
Tim Heyer can't change his confidence. Bruce Bochy can't change his confidence. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of their sports psychologist, baseball psych. They can help. They can try to help. But it's all about Adolis regaining that spark that we love Adolis for. El Bombi.
Yeah.
We need El Bombi to hit líneas. And I'm hoping that when we see him Friday night against Baltimore, that's a huge series, and I'll get into it more, and Mike likes it. I was listening to a little bit of MLB Network and what they were saying specifically about the Texas Rangers and their chances in the second half. And that series against Baltimore could still mean a lot. What they did against the Astros meant quite a bit. It kept them alive, but they're still not really alive.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in Mike Likes It in about 30 minutes. But I need Adolis to play this game with that spark and that joy, because his spark and his energy and his ability, because he's very talented, when he gets going and he's doing his thing, he's flexing, he's in the dugout dancing with Leote or whoever it is. Like, there's something about him that draws energy to this team, and I need it. We need it as a Texas Ranger fan. We need Adolis to get back to that spark that he was last year, the spark that he was when he came up, 2-3 weeks into his career in 2021 and made the All-Star team. Like, that Adolis, we need that Adolis, and if we get that Adolis, that gives the Rangers a better chance to come back from 4 back of the Astros and 5 back of Seattle.
And we've had some success at times, like kind of challenging the Metroplex in some ways. So maybe this is what we need from the 325 on the text line. They said, I wish fans of the ballpark would all chant El Bombi while he's batting. We have to give him confidence. Like the idea that maybe the fans can then imbue that into him.
And he can feed off of us.
Like almost like a jump start, like get him going so that he can be the catalyst for the rest of this team as they start the second half of the season.
I love that thought. I love that attitude. I just don't know in Arlington if you can get, let's just say 20,000 people, because there's going to be about 35 to 38,000 people for that Baltimore series. I know that there are tickets available, but there's not tons of tickets available for that series. is I'd love for that to happen. I think asking our fans to become the Philadelphia Phillies fans, or to become whatever, a Northeast fan base that really inspires the players. The players have to almost inspire us in our Metroplex, and then we're inspired, and then we join along.
Yeah.
Other places it can be the opposite, but this doesn't seem to be a place where we're going to get that many people chanting El Bombi to really get him going.
Well, maybe we have to reach out to our guy, was it Jake, that put together the Section 133 last year and really got it going? Maybe we need a resurgence of that, because that was something that the players noted. They loved it, and it seems like Adolis Bombi needs it right now in particular, because you really need that confidence if you want the run to go on.